It's cherry picked. But has been discounted by mainstream science and Einstein. So there is actually an electromagnetic force in play, and we have been able to measure that. Not only with the thing is, but there are other means of measuring that we are actually in an electromagnetic field. And the idea that it's all material, it's all hard bones and flesh and wood and so on, is something that you can start to let go of when you realize that we didn't come out of some big bang explosion and that's really heat of stars collapsing and burning for billions of years. So the periodic table became developed, and then over time some of that coalesced into some masses, and then over more time some of that turned into water, which by the way we can't even make in the laboratory. We can't even make mistakes. We don't know where water comes from, and yet 70. Well, that's what they say, but you can't put hydrogen and oxygen together in a lab and get water. You get mixed up.
Yeah, but then if you set fire to helium, you can set fire to hydrogen in the presence of oxygen. It'll give you a flame and water.
But he'll use it to weapon some
Alright, I will say this though, to go back to my cosmology, right? The cosmology that we've got to believe is that all of that came together, and then by random happenstance and collision, then this chemistry became biology, became fish, became man. I can stand here and argue with you. General relativity. Say these are the theories on which we look sensibly at. And electromagnetic universe, and that we can do
I'm just thinking, like when I saw you
that are having the world how did I
eating popcorn still?
Well, because I had really gone well science. You know, I was a fan of God, and I was a fan of Krauss, what's his name? Dawkins. And Dawkins. All these guys were my heroes. And then I saw that actually we aren't material. This is an electromagnetic universe, and everything is an electromagnetic negative positive polarity system that we're
Universities all over the world doing interactivity rather than
well, I think because it's we're all capable. As you see here, there's a lot of people arguing about religion, right? Now these people here are Muslim and Christian predominantly, and they represent about 3-4 billion people on Earth. Right? Now, for every atheist here, they would say all of those 4 billion people have been duped into believing in something, right? Now, why not another billion scientists that have been duped into believing scientism, into believing in a whole lot of things, like that if I drop an apple to the floor, it means a ship will stick to the underside in a spinning ball. And if I look out far enough into space and imagine that these things are millions of years away, that I'm going to make myself so small that I'm to be grateful for government, I'm to be grateful for my educators, I'm to be grateful for a medical system that's meant to be at the very forefront of what's going on in the world. No, this is not how I see the way we're meant to be. We are meant to be the center of this creation. We are meant to be this divine entity that's come down here, let's say a growing experience. But everything in the atheist world, everything actually, or a lot of what's going on in the religious world, is designed to rob us of our true identity. We can see this in the stuff that's coming out about Tatara. You need to see the Tatari Empire. You need to look into the Tatari Empire. Our cities have been designed by people and built by people with technology better than what we have today. The buildings that we see around are, like...
I'm going to take a stroll around the park.
And we
see everything what's happening.
Were like dark age, simpletons that could barely push a car around.
To my 33 viewers.
And yet they built things of a grandeur and a class.
They're going to do the art
that things have happened in the name of... I'm not saying that people have perverted African traditional practices. I'm not saying that. That's the reality.
Why did you say perverted? Are you sure of what the original statement is?
Am I sure? as much as this is study, research, and practice, suggests to me that is not.
I could agree with that. And I think this is what the problem.
Man like Steve. Oh, go on, Steve.
Did you get me on video?
Yeah. Wilding out. At full capacity.
Apparently they were just pushing the boundaries to see what they could get away with.
Yeah. What was he talking about with Pat earlier?
Did you hear about the story about the Christian guy that used to come here that was in the army?
Yeah, I remember you tagged me on one of the Twitters for a video.
Oh, yes, trying to find a video.
I sent one still, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good, thanks.
Is that what he was talking to
So
you
he was
about?
having a go at me. What the hell was I doing, raising money for a rapist and what have you? I said, well, yeah, as soon as I found out, I stopped it.
Yeah.
So, everything peaceful over here?
Yeah. No fighting. They're talking about flat Earth and black issues. It's all calm.
Are the two mixing together though? Flat Earth and...
Nah, I don't know. James is over there talking to one of the main guys. Steve Solomon.
Silly man, don't you want to talk?
Round two. What you saying though, Steve? How long are you here for today?
Today I got here at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I did go away for a couple of hours at lunchtime.
Hey, Sarah Smith said, Steve.
Hello there. How many you got watching?
57, I just turned it on still.
Oh, 57, you've only just turned it on?
Yeah.
I'm going to back down here.
Nah, I think he's in Nottingham. He's doing a tour.
Oh, is he?
He's famous.
British
He's British famous. He's doing a tour. He's performing everywhere. I like respect. I'm just gonna take a stroll at the park though.
Catch you later.
Of course, dude. Let's see what he's talking about over here.
Why the need to sacrifice that to an innocent being? No, to me that is the biggest injustice.
He said, please, no Modine today. If Modine's ever watching this, he's on his way back to the park now. If you ever see that coming.
To me, Jesus was someone who was sinless, I agree. Just like all the prophets were.
I don't come with the man.
Hey, on my feet, but I'm frozen, you know. Man, like, they're wilding out. Wilding. Oh
The Muslims don't follow Jesus.
I follow Jesus more than
Christ
I just
upheld the Ten Commandments. The Prophet of Allah,
He says
the
yes.
false prophet,
I don't do that.
broke all 10 commandments. He had a God that was not Yahweh. His God was called Allah. The God of Jesus was Yahweh. The Muslims bowed down to a stone rock in Mecca.
That's the idol worship.
Which is idol worship. The Muslim prophet stole other people's property. Christ said, don't steal. Muhammad sanctioned adultery. Christ said, don't commit adultery. Muhammad envied what his own family members had, the wife of another. The commandments say, don't envy.
Let me see what DJ Riz is doing. What's this? It's probably Shamsi still. Shamsi knows me. Osama. That's Osama and Shamsi did. And then they live in a private one though.
Because I'm just going to take a picture of that one. And the reason...
Church business. Somebody masked up. Is Pat still going yet? Pat and Raj. What's up, James?
So what is the difference from the island that we
There is a Raj got you working for him. Is he crazy?
what is the island that we have now compared to the island that we have?
I would say it's the same island. I would say
Where's your high vis? Get your high vis on.
Come on, now I got you. One here called Donkey.
Oh, you're giving that.
it's a British state. What you see as Ireland, the 26 counties, that was created by Britain. Saying that the North was created by Britain. Both Parliament buildings in those countries, North and South, are products of the British Empire.
Yeah, I understand that, but
So I'm not going to endorse those.
I'm saying that the same way.
Politics. Let me go and get the political man then to come and join this. Where's the political man then? You get it to jump in that conversation then. Cool, bro. Cool, yeah, bro. Good, yeah? Cool, bro. Fly the Palestinian flag. Yo, Bobby's wilding, brother.
Let's debate. Look at it. Let's debate. Double standards. They make agreements, but they do not care. Let's debate. That he would pay me £500. He ran away from me. He's chicken fat and have it on video. Where's the money? Now. They want money. Where's the money? So here's what London will do. Here's what London will do. London will send Iran from a defense. London, no way. Let me interfere. Bob is not circumcised.
Gonna have to do that, gun.
He wants to pay. And I said, Bob doesn't run away, son. Bob doesn't run away.
Show a picture of it. See who we're talking about. Some big hat thing there.
You've gone around this park. You have gone around this park. You are a liar. You are a liar. Where's the money? Where's the money? Lamin has gone around the park saying that I have said that DCCI are paid. That is what he has said. He is a liar. He is a liar. People who have heard you say this to them have told me, Godwin, you're a liar, and you owe me 500 quid.
Where's my 100 quid?
Let's get a cup of tea. No one runs from you. You're not
Chaos in the corner.
Pay me the 500 that you owe me. We've got the 500 clip. Let's put it at the back of this video so everyone can see after what I just said. I'm proud. Worship to the temple.
Snip, cowardice.
Who is the coward? Who is the coward? £500. You need to pay. Give me the money up front. Give me the money You're a moral coward. You're a dishonourable man. About whether you offered to pay me £500.
That's the topic of the debate.
Did you offer to pay me £500 to debate you? Did you or didn't you? Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the question.
Answer, Lavi. For New Year.
No. He doesn't want to answer.
No, ask him again,
Why do you run away from your Exactly. I'm not scared. Because I'll debate Mansour. I'll debate Hashim. I'll debate Hijab. I'll even debate my heckler there. I'll debate everyone in the Dawah team. Every single one of them. The only person in this park that I won't debate is you. Because the only reason why I won't debate you is because you are a dishonourable man. You don't keep your agreement.
Where's the money? Where's the money?
Agreements that you do not keep. You are a liar. And you're lying right now.
You're lying right now,
I will debate Lamin right now. If he pays me £500. Right now. Right now. No. This is what you offered.
That's what you offered.
Last week. Wait. Last week, Lamin. Last week, you offered £400. Pay me now, and I'll debate you now. 400.
Show me the money.
I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out. You made an offer. I'm accepting the offer. Pay me.
Pay up.
Why did you run away?
Or you give it.
Why last week?
Because you didn't pay.
£400.
Pay me now. Pay me now.
Pay.
Here's your chance.
He's your time. Pay.
And this is what he does. He just wastes my time. I'm giving him the chance right now to debate me on the £400 that he accepts that he offered. Pay me now. Debate me now.
Lavi.
He's got his chance.
Pay up. Show me the money. Pay up. Show me the money.
Give me the money in my pocket.
What's the money?
Give me the money in my pocket. Have you got the 400? Have you got the 400? And this, guys, is why I don't debate him. He's just wasting my time.
He wants half of the farm. Look. He wants the money. Where's the money? Run away.
Lamin.
Control yourself, Lamin. It's Christmas. For goodness sake.
There's a cash point. Around the corner.
Lamin, go to the cash point.
Let's go.
Lamin, let's
Lamin.
escort you to the cash point.
To a coffee shop, console yourself. Not everyone here wants to hear you shout and scream.
These Christians are so violent and fundamental. Man. You look, calm down. Merry Christmas. Forget about Christmas, man. But yeah, man. Enjoy your times, man. Enjoy your times. But you lot tone it down a bit, man. All this raucous, outrageous, loud. Just chill out, man. You hear me?
He said Lamin owes him £500, blood.
Is it?
Yeah.
What, gambling?
He said he got to run his fees, yeah.
Lost his money on gambling. Bob the Builder been gambling.
Nah, my man said he'll give him
I'm just expecting a
500.
payment.
Okay.
Lamin goes around the park and he goes, I'll give you 500 if you debates. I'll give you 500 if you debates.
Okay.
So I took him on that.
Yeah, so
Right,
he owes you
all right. Yeah, he owes me 500 quid. Either that or he's not a man of his word. If you go around making this giant boast, I'll give you 500 quid to debate a topic, and then you don't give the 500 quid when someone debates you, which I have and it's on camera, then you owe that person 500 quid. So he's just not a man of his word.
Take him to court. Take him to court.
There's a reason why I don't go around offering everyone 500 quid to debate. You've got to hold people to their word.
I help you for
Lamin has no concept.
Give me a percentage. I get that money. Are you saying you need some debt collectors? I'll do it.
20% on anything.
You run.
That's a verbal contract. Keep it. If he gets me by 500 quid, I'll give him 20%. I'll keep to my word.
Give him 100 quid. Mind you, for 400 baht, that's not a bad deal. How's contact, man?
What's up, man? Cool, bro. You right? Them on a wrap. Them man's out the port. Let me go back from. That thing.
You're bluffing.
Islamic.
Show me the money.
Bluffing. You're bluffing. Put my hand in there. £500. The man ran away like a chicken heart and win. That's it. End of his career. Yeah, I was going to give £500.
Was he going to give him the £500 now?
No, it's only something. £500.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I offer him
and I offered £500. I was waiting.
Why is everyone offering Bob money to
No,
debate him?
last week for £400. I was waiting till last minute.
He comes in for money.
This is incredible, man. This is 25 for
He's doing he's at the
Hey, last year. What you said, man? Hey, don't run, man.
What happened over there?
talking about shirking.
You pretending to be camera shy now.
Okay, the body. Here you go, man. I got your Bible today, man. They gave me a Bible.
Who gave you Bible?
Bob the Builder.
How come? Just
Happy Shirkmas.
nah, Christmas, man. We do.
Happy Christmas and Shirkmas. I've got a couple of videos of me going behind Ali Dawa today doing the. I was just going to say I had a chat with Pat O'Donnell or Gerard McNamara or Crimes of Britain or I don't know what he goes by.
Used to call him Fat O'Donnell.
Yeah, I went mad on it, but he lost weight, yeah, because of my fat shaming. Yeah, this is why fat shaming is good sometimes, because someone called me fat.
Oh, one of your fans is there.
And, how you doing, man? Yeah, so they called me fat, and I started losing weight. I called him fat to the next level, but I can do it, because that time I was very fat.
Yeah,
so the
I
same
heard
way
your rationale, Roger.
the same way you can call me Four Eyes, and I can call him Four Eyes, and I can call him I'm
Are
an
we in
Indian.
primary school or are we adults, sir?
Yeah, that's the.
Look, I had the brain sometimes of a 10-year-old in a grown man's body. So let me
When
let
you
me
live
just
in
do
your
Man
bedroom
what
for
I
6
gotta
days
do.
of the week, innit?
Look at this guy
chilling in
calling
the
me the man child. Everyone to call someone a man child.
Dude, he gets that,
exclusive,
though,
yeah. Me and him are gonna go carnival next year. Daggering. He's gonna teach me how to dagger.
He said he got a dagger in the carnival.
He's gonna go. I love gyal. I love gyal. The gyal.
That thing.
So we're gonna do. Are you gonna film that?
Cool, so you crazy.
It's gonna be like we're going into like some kind of like unexplored area, and we're gonna be like chilling out.
Unexplored for you, not for him.
Oh yeah. He's a daggering king, man.
Go get the girls.
Yeah, I heard you was daggering like a girl that was 5 times your size. he got stuck. He got stuck in her between her stomach. Is that true?
That's the wrong game.
Stuck in the belly button.
That's the wrong game.
Yeah, we'll do it, man. Next year we'll go carnival.
Roger going carnival next year.
Carnival.
He's going daggering in carnival.
It's carnival shit. Like a carnival.
We'll do carnival, man. Me and I'm an Indian. We'll do it. Are you gonna go as well?
It's shirk. You can't trust me. I don't think it's safe. Shirk too.
Oh, you can't
I don't think it's
think
safe.
Man said you could go dagger in the front.
Man's gonna be following the DFLA float, yeah?
we're gonna do our own float, man. Our own float.
Hey, Raj.
Watching they're playing all day.
Hey, Marcus said you're going to be following the DFLA float in carnival.
I know we're gonna have more than that. We're gonna have a massive English flag. We'll be doing the High Hitler all over the place. Nazis down there.
Will that be me walking along with you? The English flag?
I'll even shave my tash so I look like out of Hitler. We'll go down there, man. Full time. We'll do it properly.
Moustache, Raj. Did hit the moustache.
Well, try and grow a moustache yourself first. Be a man.
That was low, man.
Alright, come on, I'm moving.
They didn't own it first.
What you doing? Hey, what you doing, Raj? You going now? You going home?
I'm not going home. I'm going to be walking about a bit.
Followed Charlie.
I saw see what's going on over there.
Moustache.
What's happened to
Raj, get out, man.
dude? I don't need your freaking. The problem with people.
Robbie Thompson said to mod him up.
You're mad, Robbie Thomas. You're mad.
Ain't that your
Shark
brethren?
attack. Shark attack. Shark attack.
Ain't that your brethren?
Can I just say something here? I had a guy over there trying to troll me here with a big beard, a Muslim guy. I'm gonna put it up online. I'll teach you how to troll someone to the point that they can't put their own video footage up because I trolled them so hard. I said you're worshipping me, and he started doing shirk. Started worshipping, praying to me, the man.
Hey, what going with Robbie Thompson? They ain't your brethren.
He's my bedroom, but look, if someone tells me to do something, I either do the opposite or I'll do it a million times worse. So when someone says, I ain't paying that bullshit.
When you mod already?
Yeah, I unmodded him for some reason. I can't remember.
Raj,
Mad
don't
thing.
give me any money. Don't give me any money.
Yeah, I won't give you no money, man. You're mad.
What you saying? It works.
Doing the opposite.
It don't work
The
no
white
more.
man,
You're
the
not
white
doing the
man's got
opposite.
enough money, man. The white man's got enough money, and he's white as well, though. You do know you're white, Pat.
Where's my white?
You do know you're white, don't you?
Where's my white privilege?
Listen, Raj.
Yeah.
The English racialised the Irish people. I
what,
didn't
you
do
like
that.
black
No,
man?
no,
I didn't do that.
They may have racialised it, but
I'm
you
s-
are
yeah,
European white.
Listen. I'm a Raj. Go and take that with the British. They're the ones that said that. not
All right,
me.
forget about the
Yeah.
British.
I can't. They're the ones that said it.
Take that out, yeah. But if you're just looking at it from a scientific point of view,
Well, they did say it
you
was
are
science.
a white.
When have I said I'm not though?
All right.
What madness are
But
you
you
talking
seem
about?
to act like you're like some kind of like little Indian or something.
What? Because I said I like Udham Singh. Because I said I like Bhagat Singh.
And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you seem to like. Sometimes I think you think you're kind of like an ethnic minority.
Like an Indian.
But if you walk down the road, yeah, no one would know the difference between. I want to say no
You're
one would
talking
know
nonsense, Raj.
No one would know the
You're
difference.
talking nonsense
I wanna
here
say,
'cause
but
it's
no- But I'm
absolute.
gonna say no one would know the difference between you.
I knew it
and
was
say
Irish
this
when I
dude
saw
here.
it.
Do you understand?
Oh, I think there is. I think there's a
Ethnically.
difference.
No, I'm talking about racially. You're
Yeah.
a white person.
When have I said I'm not?
All right, yeah.
I don't know where you're going with this, Raj. I've never
I
proclaimed
thought
to
you
be
might have
anything
had.
other than-
I think you might have had that trans racism.
No, Raj, you
That trans race thing
miscategorised
where
me.
think
You
you're,
miscategorised me.
You're a
You
different race.
miscategorized them.
I'm trying.
No,
Remember that lady
what's
that
her name?
did
Rachel
I'm
Dolbo.
trying-
Rachel Dollar. I
I'm
thought it was like that. You thought he
transfinancial.
was a different race or something.
But some people would
What?
say
I'm transfer-
that you
Yeah.
proclaim yourself as British, correct?
I'm British, Punjabi, Sikh.
Right.
And big up the Punjabis and the Sikhs and the British as well.
And the
So
British
all
as well.
three of us. Not the colonialism.
What about
though.
the ones that hung
know
Udham Singh in
what I'm
Pentonville?
Oh, that
No,
guy.
I'm
You know what we do.
transfinancial.
You know what we do to those people. So, like I said, I support my freedom fighting brothers. Yeah. But I'm talking about as of today, right now. I can condemn the British colonialism in the past, and I can say it's atrocious. I can say slavery is one of the worst crimes. The way they treated Ireland, India, and the world was a complete abomination.
Are you
But-
ashamed of that history?
But
I don't need to be ashamed because it's not my history.
But you know the British.
British
I can
weren't
condemn
the
it.
only.
The British-
weren't
Sorry,
the
sorry.
only people
I know,
that did
but what I can say here.
That's what they always say, don't be ashamed of your
What I'm
history.
saying here, I can condemn that part of history, but still say I'm pro-British as of today.
What about what Britain's doing
do you
today,
know there
though?
was more British people died ending slavery than owned a slave?
I wouldn't go down this route.
Yeah, no, it's-
What do you
it's a
mean?
fact.
What do you mean British people
gonna go-
died in
It's
slavery?
going to go left.
Ending slavery.
Yeah.
It's going to go
What
left.
about,
I'm
what,
sure
about
it's
all the,
safe.
what about all the British people, the British soldiers that went over to put down slave rebellions in the Caribbean and massacre people? There was one just 4 days ago, Christmas rebellion, Sam Sharp. You know,
Oh,
what
you
about
know
that?
about Jamaica,
I
yeah?
know
Sam
nothing
Sharp.
about that. I know.
Go
knows
on,
about
go
everything
on.
about,
He's a real Jamaican.
You know,
I
why
don't
did
know,
the
I
British
don't-
end slavery though? Did they do it out of morality or did they do it because of their economics?
Well, hopefully morality.
No, it wasn't.
Even
It
if,
wasn't.
even if
It was,
Britain-
it was
British soldier
economics
killed
and
like
because of the
an
sheer
ant
resistance of
1,000
enslaved
years ago,
Africans.
He knows about it.
That's why they got rid of it. And after slavery, you had the apprenticeship
say
system,
something?
which was slavery in
I
another
talk
name.
about slavery. One thing I've realised when white people from the UK talk about slavery, it just goes left straight away.
That was a good conversation, man. I was starting to.
No, go on.
I was learning.
I was trying to save him.
I was learning about my own Jamaican island.
I let him do it.
You let him dig his grave with his slavery.
No, but we went out and brought slaves. Nobody complains about the black people that sold the white man the slave.
I actually hear that argument all the time.
Which is
I actually hear that argument all the time.
Slavery was abhorrent in every aspect.
Britain was the most aggressive slave trader in its heyday, along with Portugal.
And the Ottoman Empire.
No, but why are you deflecting?
Well, slavery. The slavery
But
goes.
also-
It's not
there-
only Britain.
but also- but also there was a
it's not
very-
only Britain that's
No,
had slaves.
hold on, but there was a very
and
unique.
dealt in
There was a very
slavery.
unique aspect to European chattel slavery. You know there are different forms of slavery, right? So when you did away with slavery in 1834, you had the apprenticeship system, which was slavery in another name. Then you had indentured servitude, which is another form of slavery.
Yeah, but people were being taught in their indentured servitude. They were taught a trade.
Yeah,
They
but
were taught how to make their own life.
there's different types of slavery.
Slavery is no, that's
No,
not
no,
slavery. That's
No,
you give us your service.
Slavery.
we pay you
under the
little, but-
under the definition of what is it? The slave. What's do you know the name of it? The modern day anti-slavery movement. The anti-slavery movement. They actually list the different forms of slavery. So but there's like an anti-slavery society of the modern
indentured
day.
apprenticeships taught people.
No, it was still, but
a trade.
it was still a form of slavery, and
Yeah,
that's
but-
accepted
but-
as a definition.
In Jamaica, the only indentured servants was the Chinese and the Indians.
Yeah, the Chinese and the Indians.
There were no blacks. They're
See, there's
still
different
there
forms.
to this
You've got
day,
chattel
running
slavery.
the businesses.
So chattel slavery is different to indentured servitude as a slavery, right?
Yeah,
Chattel
but-
slavery
but
was on the
in
basis
in the indentured
What I'm saying,
apprenticeship,
but the British
people
practice.
learn how to learn a trade,
But
and
good
they
for
learn
them,
how to make their own. And
five
then they
people in the
taught
whole of Jamaica.
people later under indentured
So
apprenticeship.
we're
It's an
getting
apprenticeship.
we're getting to the point is chattel slavery, the dehumanization of people to make them out as if they're cattle, was the worst. I would say was the worst crime.
Oh yeah,
right. And who practiced that?
the Americans. We facilitated
America?
it.
America is
We
Britain's bastard.
facilitated it.
America is Britain's bastard child. Let's talk about the Caribbean.
So it's Australia, isn't it?
Of course it is, and look what it did to the Aboriginal people there.
Yeah,
the
terrible.
slave islands.
I don't deny it's terrible.
The slave islands of the Caribbean were run by the English. When Haiti got its independence, thousands of people from England's slave islands fled to Haiti when they abolished slavery.
Yeah,
So my point is, you didn't abolish slavery out of morality or ethics. You abolished it because of industrialisation
I'm
and
sure the
change of
people that were
economics.
dying were
No, a lot of
because
people
it's
here.
only the 1%.
A lot of
that
people.
pay.
No.
And
A lot of people here were crying because their sons were going over to Britain's slave islands and were getting killed by people that were resisting. That was a lot of that as well. And as for the idea that Britain abolished it through morality, explain the apprenticeship system, explain indentured servitude that came, explain
indentured servitude was you were taught a trade.
people
and then
were
after you'd
lulled.
worked for so
People
long,
were lulled.
you were then moved.
And people
you were out of it.
people were hoodwinked in many cases to joining up with that.
I've done an apprenticeship.
You can't compare your apprenticeship to that. Bro.
Hey,
Well,
Pat,
that's
today
what it
you're an
was.
honorary black man. Go in our corner. Go in our corner. You're an honorary black man today.
No, but
That's
you
what it
can't,
was,
but
though.
you can't use the
That's
argument.
what, no, that's what an indentured apprenticeship was about. I signed up for 4 years.
No.
And
Apprenticeships after 1834, they're two different things. Apprenticeships were former slaves, quote unquote, who were forced to work for somewhere between 5 and 7 years for free in return for bed and board, were still tortured by their owners, quote unquote, during that period of time. And that was after the so-called abolition of slavery. That was 5 to 7 years after. So former slaves were still slaves under the apprenticeship system. Then after apprenticeships, that's when you have people from China and people from India put into indentured servitude. They're sent to South Africa as well, sent to the Caribbean, Trinidad.
They still hold business positions in those countries through their set up.
create a buffer club.
oh, so you're talking things I know.
You ever seen a Chinese man talk? Go look on YouTube. They run all the business shops though. When they open their mouth and talk,
And that
it's
flag you
crazy.
wear, you know the flag you wear?
Yeah.
That was the flag they used to put on the front of the slave ship.
The Union Jack.
Yeah. Used to fly there proudly on the front of those slave ships.
Ain't no Pat in the Union
Yeah.
Jack.
But as I say, they
No
didn't go
pat.
and catch her, they went and brought. So there were
It's
people
okay.
selling.
You don't think they give
I-
kidnapped
no, I'm just saying they brought
They brought, yeah?
slaves.
Yeah.
Off of,
They brought
yeah.
African people from the Caribbean to South
Off
America.
the African people, yeah.
We've heard this argument. Though.
Yeah. Which is abhorrent. I think it's terrible. Don't get me wrong, it's terrible.
But that argument
All
is
forms of
usually
slavery
used by
is.
people to sort of go, well, you
But
know.
why should I be ashamed of our history?
Well, I'm not
I know.
That's the sorrow of the original
Why should
dancehall
I
thing.
feel guilty about
That's sorrow,
what
don't
our
worry.
forefathers?
Who said you should feel
That's
guilty?
that's the whole concept
Who
of
said you should
slavery.
feel guilty?
We should be
No, but
stripped
you're-
of
but you're-
our
you're-
identity
yeah, but you're trying-
because our forefathers.
Well, that flag that you wear is
Yeah.
drenched in the blood of millions and millions of people. And to
Yeah,
many
the
people.
flags.
And to
So
many,
is the flag of Islam. So is the flag of Christianity.
No, but well, listen, I
so
don't
is the
care
flag
about-
of any
the
religion.
thing is,
It's-
for people that have been under the yoke of that flag, it can be seen as an instant. You can look at it like I look at it like a
What
rag.
about the
It's always what about?
What about the
Whataboutism.
the flag of
The academic preacher would say.
communism
What about it?
and Marxism?
We're not talking about
It's-
that.
Yeah, no, but it's the same thing.
But this is
That's
deflection.
been human
This is deflection.
nature.
No,
That's been human
I think
nature.
the genocidal nature of the British Empire was very unique. It was very unique in its own way.
Well, it wasn't only British; it was all European,
No,
wasn't
but
it? France.
France.
Dutch,
Yeah, no, French colony. There's differences between these
Spanish
colonialism.
and-
They're all terrible.
yeah.
They're all terrible. But there was a very specifically evil and unique thing about British imperialism and colonialism, and the death
So
toll
where
speaks
was
for
it
itself.
different then?
Well,
Where
the
was it
death. There you go. Eugenics is one man said there. The death toll, the engineered famines, testing how little food people could live on, proto-Nazi experiments in India. This was real evil stuff, and it was done under that flag.
It's all your fault.
And there's been lots of terrible things done.
Yeah, but we're
And
in
there's
Britain.
the
We're in
people
Britain.
still
We're in
dealing
Britain.
in
We should deal with
slavery
Britain.
today.
As assisted by the British.
Where are we dealing? in
You
slavery
re-established
today?
slavery in Libya in 2011.
When? Where?
In Libya in 2011, the British, your Prime Minister, who was Home Secretary then, Theresa May, assisted in re-establishing slavery in Libya by backing what you would hate as quote-unquote Islamists to go to Libya to conduct terrorism. So your government is in bed with Islamists who are now enslaving black people, and there's no outrage about it. And there was a bit of outrage last year, but since 2011 to 2018, it's been going on, and it's been going on undercover, and no one's been talking about it, apart from, I think in this country, one man has been talking about it.
Yeah. So I know nothing of.
So there you go.
and
Britain
I'll
re-established
have
it.
to look into.
But
I-
you, as an anti-Islam guy, Britain, your country, re-established slavery in Libya, and did so by allying with what you would see as Islamists. So the British
You mean
military.
Hamas or?
I mean Libyan Islamic Fighting Group. I mean Al Qaeda offshoots like that. I mean even maybe Ikhwani. These people in Libya were backed by the British government. You refer to them as rebels. So your government's in bed with it, what you would see as Islamists.
Yeah, they're in
Which
bed
I don't
with,
understand.
In bed with a lot of evil.
With the whole anti-Islam movement in Britain, there seems to be no mention of British collusion with terrorism.
Well,
It
that's
seems to be
Tony Blair and
Well, no, but it's-
George
no,
W.
but I'm-
created so much of the hate.
But the anti-Islam
That
movement
is-
in Britain, interestingly, ignores the biggest elephant in the room. The fact that the British government, the British security services, have worked hand in hand for the last 100 years with what you would see and view as radical Islam. Why don't you mention that at the rallies? Why is that not mentioned? Surely that's the biggest deal.
Because I know nothing of that.
Well,
I
there we
would
go.
have to
Yeah,
research.
then
won't
again,
I?
so the leaders of the anti-Islam
And to-
movement, why are they not doing nothing about it? Why are they silent on that issue?
Yeah, until
interesting,
these
isn't
things,
it?
Yeah. Till
It's
these
interesting.
things,
It's interesting that Tommy Robinson and co are not shouting from the rooftops about British government collaboration and facilitation of radical Islam. Very interesting.
yeah.
Hey Pat, are you selling Irish flags today? I think he wants to buy one, mate. I think he wants to buy one, mate. Sell him a flag,
he
mate.
can wrap himself in the butcher's apron all day long. It's all right.
Cool. I think we're going to leave it there. I'm starting to feel sorry for someone.
It's a discussion.
It feels
Discussion
it feels like
and
cruelty.
education,
Do you know,
and that's the
remember-
secret of
witnessing
moving on
cruelty
and
right now.
You know,
learning.
like Margaret
is that
Thatcher, though. She, you know, a lot of people from
Margaret
the anti-Islam movement love Margaret Thatcher. She had the Mujahideen down at Downing Street on the steps.
Margaret Hatcher
You know.
with a hatchet Thatcher.
Yeah,
and so
does
she's
Theresa May.
Winston Churchill installed the Al Saud family in Saudi Arabia. Yet he's the poster boy of the anti-Islam movement. You see the hypocrisy of it and the madness of it. You know,
Yeah,
they laud Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill gave a speech in 1921 in the Houses of Parliament warning of the dangers of what he called Wahhabism. But he said, we're okay with it so long as they remain loyal to the interests of Britain. And that sums up Britain's relationships with these movements across the world. So Winston Churchill, big anti-Islam poster boy, he actually installed what could be seen and argued as the biggest financer and backer of terrorism in the world, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and we're still backing them today.
Yeah.
Which is wrong. I realise we're still backing them today, and it's wrong.
You're the
I
wrong
think,
guy.
I think he's on your side still.
No, I'm just.
I think he's on your side now.
On that, I think there
He's
is-
agreeing with you.
But I see Britain as a problem. I don't see Saudi Arabia as a problem. Yeah, that's where we would differ. Because Saudi Arabia wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Britain.
If it wasn't for oil.
We're saying Saudi Arabia is the lesser of
If it
two
wasn't
evils.
for oil.
It's way down there. It's a junior partner. It's a nobody.
It's all to do with oil, isn't it? And money.
Yeah.
And power.
So the anti-Islam movement in Britain, we can say, is not genuine in this cause.
And the biggest problem.
Where's Ralph? Have you
everything
spoke
is
to
about
Ralph?
The money that is. It's all about the money that's
He's
created.
he's right wing.
But
it's all about the money, which is power.
So this is the problem with the anti-Islam movement, because the anti-Islam movement harks on about terrorism, Islamic terrorism, what you see it as, harks on about in the park, people praying, minor issues really. Yeah, the terrorism, it's a terrible thing, but on the grand scheme of things, should you not be focusing on what the British are bankrolling and backing? Because these movements and groups could not
that's
operate.
what we should be.
But why aren't they then?
Because I don't know.
Because they're
anything about
racist, that's why, because they're bigoted. Because they're
them.
bigoted.
So I'm a bigoted racist, am I?
I think the anti-Islam movement is bigoted, yeah. You said you, you genuinely didn't know, so I accept that. Whereas I don't believe for 1 second the anti-Islam movements in this country, leaders of this movement, do not. Because they've touched on it at points, but they're very careful to not.
Can you highlight examples of them?
Well, for instance, as you said there, for instance, you're aware that Britain backs Saudi Arabia, so they will mention Saudi Arabia and how Britain should be backing it. They don't go in depth and talk about the British Army training the House of Saud's National Guard, who keeps the Saudi family in power. They don't go in depth about Britain's true relationship with Saudi Arabia. They don't
Colonel
go in...
Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, both trained at Sandhurst military, officers military.
Bahrain,
we took
Arab king or their son.
Which is, and now it doesn't suit our narrative. They're evil people, the same as Bashir in Syria, because they want to keep the hatred going.
I mean, these are sectarists you're mentioning, right, generally.
Yeah.
But so,
because they want to keep the hatred going, they've turned these people into villains when they weren't villains.
So shouldn't the
before.
anti-Islam movement in Britain be focusing on the British state, the British security services, and the British military's collusion and facilitation of quote-unquote Islamist
the government,
groups?
the military service, the government tell them to do
Their
it.
structure,
The government, yeah.
military services structure of Britain.
Yeah.
So,
And all the people
so shouldn't your anger be at the British structures rather than?
Oh yeah, it is a lot of it.
But it's not.
A lot
I don't
of
see it. I don't see it.
is, yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah, because they are evil what they've done over the years. I appreciate that, I know that.
What about the British soldiers that have carried out these actions? Though, are they evil for what they've done? For carrying out those actions?
They carry out their orders.
They carry out their orders.
There's no conscription. You don't have conscription since the 50s. So it's a willing choice. And also, wouldn't you as a British person see it as an act of treachery for a British soldier to assist what you view as radical Islam?
Depends on what people have been taught. As I say, I knew nothing of what you were saying earlier. And not being educated in it, I can't form a view on what you were saying.
I appreciate it.
Now
So the anti-Islam movement in Britain, if it wasn't so bigoted, should surely spend, if it was truly concerned about Islamist terror, should look towards who Britain is allying with, financing, backing and facilitating, rather than harking on about the minor players and the junior partners.
Yeah. And we should be complaining about the government, so you're absolutely right. It's the 1%.
I know
But
it's
it's the 1%. It's the 1% of the people from Islam as well, that control the money, which is funding the hatred. It's not generally people, and this all comes down to money and finance again, and power.
So
Which is why people...
am I wrong to say that your main issue that you're going about is Islam? It is Islam, right? I saw you in the park earlier today.
No, it's when the people are bullying through their beliefs. They were bullying. There was 2 of them I've been there, and I've only been to bullying in any form.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
And I get him to stop because these people are trying to talk, and they've had. You just saw them with Bob.
Okay, right.
Running through. Okay. Why? They bully because they can't take criticism the other way.
Okay,
it does go 2 ways.
So I would say your side as well, because I'm on neither side, right?
Yeah.
I'm on neither camp. But I would say your side also can't take criticism. And it also flies off the handle very easy. Down here, from what I've observed.
What's my side though?
Well, you know, the anti-Islam side. I'm categorising it as that.
You're categorising me because I'm not.
You are anti-Islam, aren't you?
I'm
Or anti-Islamist?
the way it's being portrayed at the moment and the way people are behaving under it and bullying people into speaking only Islam. I'm anti that. I'm anti that.
In the park,
and it's
in
not
the park.
in
What
the
do you mean
park.
British
Yeah.
society?
Anti-gay.
Well, in the park.
Go on, Hudson.
Yeah, but it's a little park. It's a little park.
Yeah, but it's the home. It's the home. And this is where the hatred comes in. And it's not us that are doing the making the hatred. It's the people.
I don't know. The way I see it
that
is
we're being stirred to make this hate.
the DFLA, the Veterans Against Terrorism, I see them stoking a hell of a lot of violence and a lot of hatred.
Vinny Sullivan and you, man.
And-
Can we do a show and challenge
Same
Pat on
with-
these claims that he's
same
making right
with,
now?
ISIS,
I want to see him get refuted
Boko Haram,
if it's
Hamas,
possible.
They are stoking a lot of hatred as well. It
In
isn't
the park?
too-
In the park?
No, not in the park, but worldwide. When I was in Africa, the people that were scared of Boko Haram coming and raiding their villages, it's unbelievable. All over the continent of Africa, people are scared of Boko Haram coming to kill and rape their children. It's all Islam. And it's
But
because
as we've established,
it's not.
Britain has facilitated and colluded with, I don't know about that force, but in Libya they colluded with Libyan Islamic Fighting Group.
Yeah, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get. You know, it's
a crime.
We're batting from almost the same thing.
I think
Just slightly.
Well, I believe Britain is the problem, not the because these
Ah,
forces
no,
could
no, I
because
don't believe
because
Britain
these
is the
these
problem.
forces could not operate
Might
without
be the
Britain.
British government might be the problem, not Britain. The people of Britain
The people of Britain.
are being manipulated as much as all the other, as much as the
We live
people
in
of
the
Britain.
age of information. Ignorance is really not an excuse anymore. It really
No,
isn't. Especially
no, but
if
you
you're
can't
getting involved
take-
in political stuff. If you're a politico, you're going to rallies, you're organising rallies. There ain't no excuse for ignorance. They've got an agenda. That's the only conclusion you can come to.
Yeah. Well, I'm affiliated to no political party.
Yeah.
Because I think nearly all politics is evil. It's as evil as I think nearly all religions are evil. Bit strong, that, isn't it? But yeah. Well, hang on. Every religion, Christian, Judaism, Islam, the whole goal is to convert everybody to their religion. Otherwise, there's no point of the religion. Every religion has the same thing. They want everybody to believe the same.
What do you think the goal of Britain is?
The goal
Or
of Britain,
or the British state?
the state, the
Yeah,
government.
The British state. So that means the
doesn't mean
military,
it's-
the security services, the civil service, all of the structures. What do you think the goal of Britain is? The aim of Britain?
I've no idea what the aim of Britain is.
No idea.
Have you?
Yeah. Pretty much
Make
the
Britain
same.
great again.
Pretty much the same what you've just mentioned.
The,
In a very
How you liking this? How you liking this? You liking it?
so-
Get people into the occult.
and
Get people to believe that there's more than one gender. There's multiple genders.
well, yeah,
Garbage.
yeah, there's X, Y, and XX.
Yeah.
And anything in
That's
between.
why
I feel
down in
it's like Sophie that comes in.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I've no
I don't
problem.
know why you don't
with
go on camera all the
her.
time, Pat. You're crazy.
I've no problem with her.
I want to hear all of this.
See, anybody that
Where
looks
am I
at
going
her
to get this
and sees
information?
nothing but
You need to do a
woman.
live show on my
What's wrong? And she's had the gender
dedicate
reassignment.
one day a month at
Which
least.
is a bad
Just leave, just do your thing and make people forward in and challenge.
Hey?
I always have to see challenges still. I don't like just hearing one side of the story. I want to hear everything challenged. You
But
hear me?
PT doesn't allow me to say you're not a woman, even though she isn't. PT, yeah, even though
she
she
I'm gonna walk around,
I'm
man.
not
I'm
allowed
gonna
to
walk
say
around live
she-
streamers.
I'm not allowed to say she's not.
Pat
what
just
she
said
is.
he's doing the most in the park in the dark.
That's like
It's making problems for people. Hey, Beefy, I'll go on, brother. They just moved up that way still. Yeah. The Ark Warner things all the way over there as well still. They walk over.
You nice swimming?
Yeah. Man was just Pat was just giving my man some lessons about the crimes of Britain still.
Yeah. Many
It
a
was
crime.
It was a lot, fam. This guy, I felt sorry for the guy still. I ain't gonna front. I went to cry. I went to cry for him, fam. Didn't have no argument, bro. You have to phone a friend and all of that. Right, this old part is empty, blood.
Yeah.
We'll be back in almost soon when we don't have fish.
Our park.
Yeah.
Gang get in this.
I'll go on in. Oh, that's my camera there. Catching with the action and the over there. I'll go on. Man like Abdi, my brother. Huh? Yeah. What happened? Yeah, people are on you for that mad girl, innit? Yeah. That goes crazy, man. You don't see something wrong with her, fam.
Hey, bro, you need to edit something like that.
Fam, you don't see how we had editing, fam. You already know, fam. What they saying? What the people saying? You need to defend your honor, fam.
That's what I need to do. Well, if that was a man, you'd be talking
Obviously.
like that.
It's crazy. No, but fam, everyone can crazy, innit? So obviously, nothing. Yeah, that's what, but not only that, but she's not just too normal. Something's wrong with her, it's crazy. So, get a pass, you get me?
No, what's it? You changed the name, bro. You know it used to be Young Ali. It's called the Getter Sniper. Yeah. What's it? G-A-R-R. Getter Sniper.
You know. Yeah. We could do something still. The camera's busy right now. As soon as it's available for me to do something, man. Say nothing. I don't know. Ali Dawa and Modine. Probably a hype thing, innit, from Modine's info.
You don't need to be more knowledge. What? Because I can see you man are on a deen, and I respect that. What is deen? What is the deen? Let me ask you, what is the deen? Let me ask you a question. You haven't answered. Ask you, what is the deen of Islam? I'm going to ask you. قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. The Prophet said to the Sahaba,
Let me make sure this is still recording.
Yeah, man was even some dirty like a bit like, you know what I'm saying? I can't, like, what I've heard,
Oh man. He said no vegan stuff.
No, I didn't.
Hey, man, like Callum with a bag of food, you know, from them big $5,000 donations.
It might be getting cold though.
Yeah.
It might be getting cold.
What's in there, fam? Box of chicken.
Chicken, man.
Show the people then, fam, that you came through on your word, fam.
We said we're gonna do it now.
Except for man, this
get out of here.
Except for man, this COE done all the vegans.
I'm sorry, but you know I got you juice though.
I say that.
At least.
Respect.
I got vegan juice for you.
And show the camera, fam. We live streaming right now, you know.
It's here, baby. It's here.
For people who don't know, tell why you got that big box of chicken there,
for people who don't know, yeah. See what? In Kemet, we do something called ma'a or amra. Two different words, ma'a and amra. What that means is, yeah, it means reciprocity. Let me say again, reciprocity, meaning if somebody gives something to you, what should you do back in return? You're gonna give back in return. You dig what I'm saying? So the community been giving to us all this time. The other day they was donating. I said, you know what? You lot show love. You lot show genuine love at that. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bless everybody. Bring some food, all right, and we're gonna do some offerings.
Ain't gonna front though, Callum.
Some food offerings.
That don't look like £400 of chicken though.
Nah, it's not. I'm not even gonna lie. Like they run out chicken. That's how deep it was.
Yeah.
They run out chicken. I was like, just keep putting.
Go to the R corner first, fam, and dash out some of that, fam.
Oh man.
As long as it ain't poison, fam. You're trying to poison people.
Boy.
You don't say, man, you're supposed to get chicken in there. Big Esau will eat all of that to himself.
Boy. So we're trying to get offerings.
We say free up the chicken.
Get a sniper.
Get a sniper. You don't even know your own name, fam. You don't even know your own name. Get a sniper, fam. Come on, man.
Let me show you what they look like.
I know it's not Italian.
It's halal. What else? Boy, from my end.
I was asking questions, fam. Interrogations.
Yeah? And man like Isa.
Halal certification.
Oh, he's saying this is the good Isa or the evil Isa. What is evil?
Ahmed gave me this. Trust me.
Let me show you. Get a sniper.
Get a sniper.
Hold on.
Come on.
Trust me.
My brother, fam. Good, man. What you doing? Get some up. Hold on. This is that you have. Who's that? You're drawing more attention to yourself. We involved, yeah, we involved today. We involved today. You're hiding. Sometimes you have to hide it.
I don't know who's filming.
Sometimes you have to hide in plain sight. You stand out, you look different from everybody else. Everyone's gonna know you. They're gonna be like, who's this guy? They might come and try and take your mask.
I forgot to bring the black.
Get a sniper. These are these.
Them man there, yeah. Mad thing. Send lick man down real quick. Who they fighting for, fam? Who they fighting for?
They're fighting the Ethiopians.
Why they beefing the Ethiopians for, fam?
It's about the strongest survives, isn't it? It's about land, bro.
Let that,
We're winning,
man.
you know,
Shy,
we're winning.
we need some unity out here,
We're
fam.
winning, bro. We're winning.
We don't want beef out here, fam.
We're winning. Young Ghana, bro. That's my people, man. Man understands this language, you know. It's not Somali.
It's Somali.
It's not Somali.
What is it?
It's called Afghana, bro. It's a different language.
Yeah.
Look at the whack, bro. The man. Look at the eyes, the high and jug, bro.
Which part they from? Which part they from?
They're from the eastern Ethiopia.
Yeah. Are they from East Ethiopia?
Eastern Ethiopia, but they're Somali.
Okay. Them people there. Them I was talking about them before on one of the Somali corners still.
Yeah, man. We're gonna win, you know.
Like they're supposed to be the majority in that part of Ethiopia, but it's still not Somali though.
It's not,
like the
you know
Ethiopians
why?
trying to hold on to it.
You know why?
Where?
Look,
But I heard the same shit. Someone said the same shit about South Somalia though, fam. They said
I live in the south.
they said there's bare Bantus down there suffering, fam.
Yeah, no, they're not suffering. But man got Bantu, man like a Johnny, them, man. Let me
I can
show
see
you.
for your Bantu, fam.
Huh?
You crazy. You look like a real Bantu, fam. You crazy.
Get a warrior, bro. That's my thing. Big up still. But listen, let me show you. I got Bantu Somali friends as well, bro.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, man, they're ready to die for Somalia, bro.
Oh, go on, brother. Good.
But when I tell you, these men are ready to die for Somalia, bro.
Yeah.
They're ready to die.
Oh, go on, brother.
Move, man.
Good, fam. Why you anti for? What is
This guy's people, man. He's
What
a
is
waste,
it?
man. He's weak, man. He's embarrassing us.
Why?
Look at he's running like a girl. You're not a girl, fam. You're big 21. Stand up, man.
Why is he running like a... Well, cute fighting, he's supposed to stand his ground.
Exactly, that's what you don't. You see these Eritreans and Ethiopians.
Yeah.
I love their girls. 100% love their girls. But the guys, they're a bit soft.
Where you from? Eritrean?
They're soft, bro. You gotta be like Abdi, bro.
He's ruining the community. No in-house fighting, fam. No in-house.
That's when I reckon.
The get it. How you say it again? Get it.
The get a sniper.
Get it.
Get a sniper.
Get a sniper. All right then. My brother Abdi. Let me check my camera, man.
What's he saying?
In the comments. I don't know what he's saying.
I said I'm a
They're
major fan.
beefing each other, man.
I said I'm a major fan.
How we speak where I come from is how we speak. Yeah? Like whether you're on road or not on road, this is how man speaks. Right? So this speech pattern, yeah, is not synonymous with criminality. Yeah? If man talk patois, man talk patois.
Come on.
Exactly. And our criminal right here from our point is that yeah? So when you entire generation of your community under the bus, do not be surprised when they come for you.
How do you support that? If it's true, don't support our ministers the same thing. Other people have done the same thing, and they haven't been criticized.
What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna earn it. When you see the Muslims or the blacks.
Religious money, Imam Ali sold, and the manners of the Prophet. Okay? I'm just saying. No, actually, you have to understand. If it wasn't, even the Wahhabi and Saudi, I listen to them.
Just Danny Shine coming at night time.
So let's start with alcoholics. Right? Everybody agree that we should do our best to help alcoholics take prevention and precautionary measures so they don't have children. No one wants an alcoholic parent. Okay, so we agree that there are some
Come on.
help.
Learn something. Everybody's over here. Where's James at? Hey James, I wonder if you're still in the park. Where you at? Probably around by the tea hut smoking everywhere. There we go. There we go. Man like Muslim, what going?
Afterlife idea
brother.
seems not to be compatible with. I'm getting a list of things very quickly that as outputs of
So I never spoke
Islam
about pork.
seem
I
to
never spoke
seem
about
not
homosexuality. I never.
You believe eating pork is wrong?
I wasn't here for any of those conversations.
Okay, so I'm checking.
Yeah, no, because I'm a Muslim. I accept Islam to be true, and therefore, if Islam tells me that you can't eat pork, I won't eat pork. But guess what? I don't have to be a Muslim to not eat pork. Most of the Jamaican brothers that I know,
I don't
you
eat
know this,
pork.
Leon, right? They won't touch pork with a barge pole. And they're not even Muslims.
Reality
right?
is not.
No, but the point is, what I'm making is that people have their reasons. Just because my reasons might be...
Their reasons might not be good. That's what we're testing.
Well,
How
hold on
good
for
are
a
the
second. Hold on for a second. How do you decide whose reason is good and whose reason isn't good? No, wait a minute, because the point I'm making is that if gentleman over here says, I don't eat pork because of X, Y, Z, for him, that's reason enough. If you're now going to impose your understanding what's reasonable and what's unreasonable on him, then what you're doing is you're taking an element of his freedom and saying this is rubbish. You're rubbishing his understanding, and you have no right to do that. No, it's the truth, man.
No, it's not. It's not.
Am I on film, bro?
Don't want to be on camera. It's a good one, though, man. It's a good one. It's peaceful. Respectful conversation.
Punishable to eat pork in the Islamic State, just like it'd be punishable to drink wine.
Actually, no, not if you're not. No, hold on for a second.
Yeah, if you're
hold on for a second. First of all, finding pork, finding alcohol in an Islamic state is a mission in itself. You're making the red herring argument. I'll tell you why. Because if you go to Saudi Arabia and you go to the holy cities where Islam is actually practiced, you ain't finding pork and you ain't finding alcohol. In fact, you ain't even finding. Hold on. You are creating an entire straw man here on Saudi Arabia. And let me explain something. You can't even find cigarettes in Mecca and Medina.
Ain't gonna front us. I saw one smuggling documentary.
You know that, right?
About someone
smuggle cigarettes into Saudi.
Smuggling wine.
You know, but yeah, you can do that in Jeddah. In fact, in certain cities inside of Saudi Arabia, I'm pretty sure you can buy this stuff. But in the holy cities, you can't do that. Now, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second.
The point is that you were saying like this guy was taking away someone else's freedom by questioning whether it's reasonable to not eat pork or to forbid eating.
What's your name again? Anthony.
But like,
Anthony's your name, right?
I doubt that he
Tony.
would say to anyone, you have to eat pork, or kind of it's not your personal choice whether you eat pork or not. So he doesn't have that. Whereas I feel like your ideology would lead to kind of pork being outlawed and being punishable, and alcohol being punishable. If you're born into a Muslim household and you want to drink alcohol, it's not just like personal choice like he's advocating.
What I'm saying to you,
so you actually think that you should take.
You're creating a straw man again, man.
No, he's not.
You are. Hold on. You can say no as much as you like, Tony. Yeah. The point is that I'm telling you he's making a straw man because that's not my position.
I know, but
that's not my position. You're assuming my position wrong.
No, I heard your position.
My position is this. I was trying to explain it to you when you interrupted. Right? My position is this: that you can go to Saudi Arabia and you can go to certain cities. You can go to where the expats are, and you will find that pork is readily available, and so is wine. You'll find that. But hold on for a second. If I'm
disagree on fundamentally.
Hold on for a second, yeah? There are only 4 nations on this planet that have Sharia law, yeah? And even though Sharia law models have their differences because Sharia isn't as... hold on for a second, let me explain something to you because you're trying to make a point and I believe you're... No. This point is making. Now, I'm telling you... Bro, there's a communication breakdown now, Tony.
Okay, pound for pound, airtime.
Tony, you're really not letting me explain anything. Right?
Because you're talking about something which is...
Because you keep shifting the goalposts.
You've said some things you haven't allowed me to comment on and you've moved on. Could you let me comment on the things you've said? Okay? Because you picked up on the same thing. You seem to think that if someone eats... I tell them they're delusional to do that I'm in some way oppressing them or compromising their human rights. I'm not. I'm simply saying you have an opinion and in reality it's distorted and misguided to a level which is not to your advantage.
And if they turn to you,
they
turn
may be
around
right.
and say to you,
if they say
is that okay?
Yes.
And if that's okay,
okay.
Pardon my language here, yeah, but opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, right?
We're down to
No, hold on for a second. No, hold on a second, yeah? Hold on for a second, yeah? No, it's not a debate. I'm conversation with you. I'm not here to debate. I never come here to debate.
He's a cameraman and he rarely comes because it's so much rubbish happens here. He rarely comes.
Right, when I come here, I come with cameras. I haven't done so in about 6 months. What I'm trying to say to you is this, look. When you impose your opinion on someone else, but you did earlier on, you were trying to say that you're imposing your opinion.
Not all opinions have equal merit.
If gentlemen here and he has his reasons for not eating pork, you can't rub him here because no, you can't. Because, hold on for a second. Then you're imposing on his opinions. You're imposing on his opinions.
The word rubbish doesn't help. I can ask him to question, yes? I've been here debated with the flat earthers, and they'd use the same argument as you. They go, I have the opinion the world is flat, yes, and you can't oppress me by telling... It's not a human rights issue. Everybody here is entitled to their opinion, no question.
Absolutely.
I'm not questioning human rights.
I'm talking about
I'm
me being
saying
entitled to an opinion.
we start
I'm
with
talking
the
about
assumption we're entitled to an
imposing
opinion.
your opinion on somebody
I'm not
else.
imposing it.
If we're not doing that, then it's okay. We don't have a problem.
Where we go,
What I'm
we're all
saying,
entitled to
what I'm saying is that
opinions.
if you're going to impose your opinion on somebody, then that is wrong because you should never be.
We agree.
Even,
I'm not doing
and as a Muslim, I say that as well because that's what my religion teaches me. So I'm saying, absolutely. Hold on, contradiction between two atheists here. Look, bro, you catching this, Leon? Yeah, you catching this? Yeah. Two atheists just confused over here now. I think you should reconcile this between yourselves because he's saying it's not a problem. You're saying it is a problem.
I was saying, are you sure that
As long as you get your story straight, then I can talk to you. Otherwise,
no, what I questioned was,
I'm
are you
seeing
sure that
two
your
different
religion
goalposts here.
doesn't? Are you sure that your religion doesn't call for enforcing behaviour?
You're really digging a hole here.
Because like, I think it sounded like you were kind of saying, you can't force your beliefs on people. Doesn't Islam call for that?
I just explained to you, Tony, right? The Quran teaches us, right, to never have blind faith, to test your faith, to test your. Hold on. Because I'm saying that the thing is, explain to me how it contradicts. Because you just made another straw man. Explain to me how it contradicts. And my claim is this: that the Quran teaches you that this. For a people who are deep thinkers. It also tells you. No, wait. Allow me to finish. You can't just cut in like that, Tony. It's not good manners, bro.
Pound for pound, you're getting more airtime than we are. Go on.
Well, if you want airtime,
I want equality.
take it away, bro.
No.
You seem like you want airtime. I'm gonna give you the airtime.
Quality of airtime.
Take as much time as you need, Tony. Seriously. Go on.
I start from this position. Entrenched position. I believe, and I've said this before, there is a physical north to this planet, a compass point north. I also believe that there is a moral north, okay? I think that's the axiom of all religions, Christian or otherwise, and a lot of humanist creeds, that what is good and bad isn't just in the human imagination and a matter of opinion, that it is actually rooted in something profound and unchanging and eternal, okay? If you come from that position, then if you and I disagree on what is morally correct, it's not a human rights issue. We're both trying to work out what moral north is, and if we disagree, one of us is probably more on point than the other. So we should compare opinions and work out where one can learn from the other. We're both wrong to some degree. It's a matter of trying to get rid of the impurities, okay? So whenever I have a discussion to say someone, well, that's your opinion, that's mine, and I'm entitled to it, I know. I start from that assumption. Your human rights are always intact here. Now let's compare merit, and I'm comparing merit. One of my criteria for the merit of an opinion is how consistent is it with its own principle. For example, the other cheat would not have been fear of injury. So, how compatible are they with parallel disciplines like science? When you say you don't accept Darwinian evolution, that seems to be a fairly credible scientific theory. Maybe it's wrong, but it may well be right, and the incompatibility of your view with that is also an area of potential conflict and analysis. Looking for that, but the inconsistency. I'm citing examples like not eating pork doesn't seem particularly sensible. Down on gay people may not be morally consistent with other facets of Islam and other religions. Being anti-Darwin may not be compatible. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the 5 pillars. I like a lot about Islam. I'm not here to damn it. I just want to eke out the good from the less good within all religions and humanism, yeah? And I think the anti-gay thing, I think, is not the best side of Islam. The anti-evolution thing is not the best side of Islam, yeah? The praying alms for the poor, that stuff, Mecca, I think this is good stuff. Credit-free banking, good stuff. The anti-drug thing, in the West we've got more decadence and drugs, you're right, it's not such a good thing. So I'm going to cross-reference the good stuff, yeah? But please don't give me people's human rights or opinions. We've got to know we need to learn from each other. I'm wrong in some respects, I know that, and I don't feel abused if you point it out to me. It's fine.
Thank you. Right, I've let you speak.
Yep, no,
you made a few points, right? Okay. I don't know where to start because, well, I'll tell you where I will start. First of all, you're asking me whether, I think I've got to apologise to you here. I can understand when we were talking, you kept cutting in and interrupting me, and that made me think, hold on, are you trying to say X, Y, or Z? Right? But now that you've apologised, and I'll tell you what I'll apologise. I apologise that I thought that you were to impose you like your opinion on somebody. Insight now the question is that to compare, right, to see whose moral anchor is stronger, right, and why. More importantly, why.
Exactly.
Yeah. My question is this: as an atheist, where do you get your moral anchor from? I'll tell you. Wait, before I ask that question, a little bit of background here. Yeah. If Darwinism is true, Darwinism states that it's to survive the survive, and that means that you can do whatever you like as long as you survive. How do you then reconcile that with morality? Because I can give you an example. Say hundreds of thousands of years ago, in some cave, right, there's a small family, a man, his woman, and their baby child, right, and they haven't eaten all day. The next day, the man goes out with his spear, looking for something to kill and eat, right, and he comes back empty again, with no food, and his wife says, where's the food? And she says, don't worry, maybe tomorrow we'll have better luck. And she says, our baby's dying here. Now that night, as he looks out of his cave, the mouth of his cave, he sees in the distance a little fire. It's another cave, another family, and the smell of roasted pork, say, comes his way, right? And he thinks, you know what? My family is dying here, right? And he goes out there, takes his spear, there's a backup, and he says, look, can I have some food? And they say no. What's him from killing everyone in that family and taking their food, bringing it home? Because if survival of the fittest is true, you should just kill them, take the food, and bring it back to the cave. So how do you wait, sorry, man. I'm having a conversation with him. How do you reconcile morality? How do you reconcile morality with the idea of survival of the fittest?
Okay, you finished?
I have.
Okay, right.
And that's one point. There's others because you spoke for about 2-3 minutes, and I'm only addressing one point here. There are others I want to address as well. Unfortunately, I'm also running out of time as well because I've got to get to my car. But I'll allow you to make one more point, and then you know what? What I'd love to do, Tony, is I'd carry this on some other time as well. So if you don't mind, open up a channel of communication privately as well.
I'll give you my card.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. My name's Moss, by the way.
Tony.
Let me get one as well.
He's got a card. No, it's actually not for you. No, I've got a script I'm trying to sell. I happen to have 500 of these things, so it's going to hand them out.
Let me get one.
What, you want a card? Run it out. There you go. That's two. There you go. Right. So that's not about debating. That's anyway.
That's good.
Right, I heard your point.
Yeah.
Excellent point. Fantastic. I'm serious. It's a fantastic point. Because what you've done is you've looked for the inconsistency in my position.
Absolutely. Which is exactly what you said for me to do.
Bloody right. The big problem is exactly what you said. The great horror story, as far as I can see, is that the classical Darwinian model suggests a world without morality. I find that terrifying. Okay?
Thank you.
It's a deeply concerning point that we should head to the heart of.
Your honesty is very endearing, man.
Okay?
I tell you that, Tony.
I
like it.
But my solution to that for the minute isn't to go, because it's so horrifying and terrible, I should be in denial of it. I can feel the part of me that wants to not believe it, but what I'm doing instead is going, because I believe in the consistency of things, there seems to be enough evidence for this fairly appalling idea that maybe I'm going to have to take it on the chin, sit with it a bit, look at it from various angles, and hope that, despite surface impressions, maybe there is still a deeper moral level within it that I can extrapolate. So maybe I shouldn't just run straight from it. Sorry. But I totally buy. And I've got to accept we may just live in that Darwinian universe. This may be a fucking horror story, pardon me. Okay? It's possible we're in a really bad place. I'm hoping for the best though. To find the best, I want to look at the worst case scenario and try and face it head on. And I think the facts, unfortunately, and I mean unfortunately, would seem to support Darwinism. Now, if you dig it a bit deeper, you hear some interesting counter-arguments within it that may explain why there is a moral imperative which includes Darwinism, and that's worth looking at. But I think religion being in denial of that is not to religion's advantage, because religion traditionally has been the flag bearer for morality, and that's a good function it served and should continue to serve. Nietzsche was very concerned, as Jordan Peterson will tell you, that when we killed off religion, we wouldn't replace that with anything and would leave a moral vacuum. Absolutely correct. So I want to keep a moral north compass. I want to keep that tradition going
Thank
on,
you.
but you've got to deal
So
with...
can we then agree? Sorry, can we just really quickly? Can we just
way too
agree?
much ground, though.
Sorry, just really quickly. Can we agree then that Darwinism is a working model? Because I agree
I
with
think
that myself.
Darwinism is a very frightening working model that you need to take very seriously and take apart. You have to work with and see if there are deeper angles to it, which I've seen Dawkins do. A lot of people miss Dawkins do this. Thank you. So we agree on the problem. I think what you guys lack in this is jihad. This is the struggle. To me, to go, here's a book
Please,
written and we do
you
it.
said jihad means
I mean
struggle, not holy war.
No, I mean struggle. I literally
fair,
mean that. I think if you've got a book that goes, all you've got to do to follow God is A, B, C, D, there's far less jihad, real struggle in that than going, hell, I'm going to have to deal with all this data and process it in good faith, even though sometimes it seems like it's going to be really difficult. That to me is a lot of the jihad, which maybe Islam is not embracing as much as it should.
Muslims aren't embracing, I would say.
But in your, you've kind of like agreed to his premise that kind of evolutionary biology, Darwinism, provides a series of orbs. It provides a series of sort of directions of how we should behave. But it's really just a description of reality. It's a description of biology, of our history, of how kind of genes work. So you can't get from a description how we ought to behave. So there is.
The fact that I'm an advertising agency, I'm going to have to use your services very soon.
Very
sorry.
It's fine. Yeah, sure.
Can anybody take his position?
Can anybody take my position? I'm just a cameraman. I'm nobody. Dawa Digital, by the way.
Dawa Digital.
When's this
brother?
coming? When is that, bro?
It's live stream. It's already out.
Sort of represent a more classical Islamic position. Take care as a counterpoint.
I mean, I sort of.
Tony, you should take his position, because I think James thinks you're a chocolate atheist.
Okay, I'll be the Dawa person here. So yeah.
You're representing Islam.
Yeah. I've converted to Islam now. So
James, I think you control the camera.
And so Darwinism says that you should try and survive, and whatever you do to survive is morally good. And so clearly we know that that's not actually true, and there must be some deeper, more profound morality. So this Darwinism,
know it's not true. How do you know that?
You don't know.
Because
you have the absolute idea of morality.
No,
James, can you hold my camera for me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Surely.
I don't believe we need a fundamentalist Muslim.
Surely you people can see that the example that he gave, like, for example, if I'm a rapist, then I might, hold down 50 women and impregnate them all, and that's good for spreading my genes. But surely we can see that that's wrong, and the fact that a Darwinist, empty Nietzschean nihilistic view of the universe doesn't give us some objective morality must surely prove that theism is correct, because there must be a source of objective morality.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to, because Darwinism is an explanation of reality. It's not an exposition of morality. It's not an idea of morality. He's not trying to show you what's moral, what works in a society. He's just telling you this is where you come from, this is what you were in the past. Just because you were created that way, you evolve from apes doesn't mean you need to be a monkey in real life.
Okay, so if you're disregarding Darwinist morality, then you must think. But then you must both think that morality is just one person's opinion or another person's opinion. Like each person must have their own idea of morality. So if I think that it's good to kill someone, and there is no God saying with the objective version of morality, then surely all morality is subjective. Do you really agree with that?
It is subjective. No, it is very subjective. It's very much subjective.
Okay, how about we go with you first?
Okay, I just stated I believe I hope that there is a moral north, yeah? There is a fixed and factual moral direction, which is not a matter of personal opinion. And I said that before, I hope for that. Simultaneously, I accept that may not be the case. I could be living in a very, very nasty place I arrived by accident, yeah? and it could simply be Darwinian tooth and claw. It's possible. But I think the best thing to do is accepting it could be that horrible thing. Your assumption that there must be a morality to life doesn't follow. It's something you hope for.
I see.
hope for, but it may not be true, yeah?
Okie dokie. And what about your position?
Okay, this talk about morality, we're talking about a certain, if there exists or not one kind of morality that we should follow.
Yeah, is it objective or is it subjective? If it's subjective, then everyone's just opinion. It's just a free for
Morality is one
all.
of the most subjective things in existence.
Okay.
Now, I will explain this viewpoint. I'm not saying that we should be that's how it should be. I'm saying that at the end of the day, that's how it is. Because different civilizations, different societies, different religions have different sets of morals, have different moralities. For example, let me give you the example of the Aztecs and the Spaniards. The Aztecs saw it as their duty to sacrifice captives of war to the sun god, because they believed that if they don't, the sun will stop shining on the sky. Now, fair enough. Now we go to the Spanish.
Is their sense of morality just as good as a universalist, humanist sense of morality?
Let's go to the Spaniards now. Are they the good guys? Because obviously the Aztecs are not don't quite sound like the good guys, do they? I mean, they rip out hearts to give them to the sun god. Sounds horrible to us. But now the Spaniards, they captured people who seemed suspicious, and they would torture them to death until they confessed for being a witch or for being a heretic, and then they would kill them, burn them in a fire usually, which means they wouldn't die from the fire, they would die from suffocation. That's how most of the burned victims died. Now, who are the good guys? I ask you. And the answer is, there are no good guys.
Okay.
There are no bad guys.
What?
There are only things that work and things that don't. Sacrificing people for the sun god in our society nowadays is not reasonable at all, because you're killing people that might be, first of all, you're violating human rights.
If there's a society where the existing order is that 1 in every 10 babies you kind of torture it to death in order to kind of help crops grow, would you say that that society is just as good, or there is no way of saying whether one society is as good or worse than another society?
There is.
Okay, so how is that society bad?
Now there's the thing.
He just asked a really good question.
No, but look, it might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm really not. I'm not saying, because there are no absolute morals.
Hang on. No,
but I'm not
absolute. The very fact that
morals.
The very fact that you can grade one as better than another instantly creates a value hierarchy.
Yes.
It means everything is on the same plane.
Yes, of course.
It's your opinion, it's mine.
But there are no absolute morals. There are no morals that you can say are absolute. I'm not forgetting it, because if you put a graphic, these morals are better than these, then you will inevitably put one morality at the top. Yeah,
so
but that's not how it
you
works.
judge one thing better than another, you create a hierarchy. And
There are
you create
better
a hierarchy.
morals.
It implies an ascendance towards a paradigm. Yes, and that paradigm may never be realised, but that's what you'll call an absolute. Yeah. Now you may never realise it, but the act of aiming towards it gives you a moral direction. And your point is correct. If a culture was torturing to death 1 in 10 babies to get the crops to grow, and another culture wasn't, I would argue the latter culture was an improvement on the former. According to your base, where there is no hardwired morality, you have no grounds for
I think the
discriminating
devil
between
is in the motive. What's your motive for not torturing those babies to death?
I agree with you that motive is the essence of morality.
What's your motive to not torture them to death? Give me your
Well, it was a very hypothetical society. Mine would be that I was being empathic and considerate of the babies, which I think is a good motive.
They didn't take over. So you're not going to torture death? It's just because it doesn't sound right. If you look at because it's not human rights. Who decides the human rights?
I have to
Are
judge.
you a judge?
Yes. Every human being. Everybody is constantly judging. If you're under the illusion that you're not making thousands of judgments every day, then you're delusional. We're all judging. The job is to judge well. Not to sit there and pretend we're not judging, because that's delusional, yeah? So in my good judgment, aiming for good judgment, that's my motive. It's empathic to the baby, not to torture it to death, unless you can give me some damn good reasons why that should happen. And I'm not hearing them if it's got to do with your crops, because that seems to have no scientific or logical basis. You can go away. And even if it did, I think it would be wrong.
The reason for that is simple. It's that torturing the baby to death won't change absolutely anything.
Well, it will apparently cohere an Aztec society.
Yeah, didn't you say it was about being functional? So if you had a society that was working well,
The point is,
yeah.
you seem to think that doing immoral things in order to facilitate a functional society was an acceptable.
No, that's not my point at all. My point is that you don't have absolute morals that everybody can follow and will work for everybody. That's my point. You don't have those. You don't. You need to. Because history proves that you don't have.
Can't you?
Different, huh?
You mean me personally? You say you don't. You mean I don't?
No, I mean the morals that might work for you might not work for me. Every
your
person
Can't you
What do you mean?
function.
Okay,
function.
so functionality being the apex of what we should aspire to.
It's one of the things that we should aim for. It's
Okay,
one of the most
I'm
important.
not saying we shouldn't. You seem to be making it the apex of the things we should aim for.
Because in the end, it kind of is.
Okay, now this is the axiom
as
from which
hard
you're
as it
thinking
might
from.
be to accept it, in human societies, functionality has been the apex usually.
How do you measure function? Human well-being, or what is the measure of functionality?
No, functionality in terms of human about power and about dominance. The civilizations, the peoples who had more functionality had more dominance.
So
Let's give another example, the
you
Mongols.
think like might makes right?
No, I don't think.
But like,
it
well,
makes
might makes
I
functionality.
think might wins.
Okay.
That is what I think. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying that it wins. The best example in history we have of this are the Mongols. I can't think of a better example. The Mongols were a people that might sound completely backwards nowadays.
No one's saying life doesn't win. We're arguing whether it should. Criticism, okay? You don't seem to be objecting to it, whereas I believe we are.
Yes,
We
yes.
have a moral compass. It seems that you don't have. That is of interest.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, and
Listen,
also
the
your
difference
idea
between me and you guys is that you are choosing morality, and I am choosing a balance between morality and power. That is what I am choosing, a balance between the two. Because if you have morality,
How?
functionality.
Yeah, it sounds like you're based entirely power. Like there is no independent. Where's the independent element of morality that divorced from power? If you say your system is based on power and morality, what is the morality part? You know.
so the lives of the people are improved in the long term.
Okay, so human well-being is important.
Yes.
Okay, so why not just
That's
say
the whole purpose of the whole
why not just say that's kind of it's subjectively good to improve human well-being, and that's morality.
It's not the only thing that we need to have in
I didn't say it
consideration.
was the only thing, but it's a consideration. We would all
Well,
agree that was a
obviously, I
positive.
never said
Yeah.
we should
No, it's
consider
not
that.
obvious until you say it. You might really be a hardwired person who's into might is right full stop.
I'm really not.
Okay,
What
I
I'm
didn't
saying-
know till I asked. At this point, can I say sorry? You've been waiting to say something
No,
for
that's
ages.
okay. So I don't want to throw the debate off guard. I think this is very valuable. This question might come off a little bit naive. This is my first time attending something like this, but basically, my response to you, I'm not saying as a Muslim, would be that then the Quran is sort of the morality sent down by God, and not just the Quran, but also the Bible, various other texts. That's the objective morality that was sent down by God to guide, the people and to guide civilizations that came much, much
to me,
later.
that's what makes it very attractive. I think
Right.
we need moral
and
things.
I are correct our judgments as individuals on kind of an individual scale that that we believers we're set that are to guide.
You judgment. That's just another.
But I didn't make that judgment. That judgment was made by God. In the
No.
text.
You
think
that
it was made by
That's
God.
your judgment.
Well, it's not because it's in the text.
No, but it meant
The texts were written by the humans.
No, they weren't. They were sent down by God.
The fact that you
The text
find
was
at
sent
least
down
three
by
different
God.
groups of people here.
The Quran was sent down by
I
God.
know
The Bible was
I
written.
know that you've made the judgment that you'll find a Christian here and a Jew and a Muslim who will turn up and go, here's the book that was sent by God, and they'll present you with
Well,
three
there are
different
many
books.
books sent by God. I don't
Do,
think
do, do you guys, do all three of you think that if you knew that God created a book, that God has the authority to decide what's right and what's wrong? You say
If God did that, then
if
yeah, I'd
if
have to go.
so if there is a creator of a universe, he can decide what is right and what is wrong. Okay, so yeah, so what it so if God came down tomorrow and said it's now okay to torture babies, like would that suddenly become a moral thing to do just because God said it was moral?
Yes, it is, and I'll tell you.
If we can absolutely deduce that God said that was the right thing to do, then I think the Creator who has created this world has right over judgment.
Okay, in that case, isn't your sense of morality actually arbitrary, because it can change at any point depending on what this all-powerful tyrant decides in the future? There isn't. It's not as if the sense of right and wrong is objective and rooted and nothing can change it. You're saying it can change entirely according to God's whims. So I think that sounds arbitrary. So it's something to think about.
If that's God turned up, I would doubt that was God.
Okay.
Someone rolled in and said that I'm God and you torture babies, I would go, I think you may not be God, you're something pretending to be God. That would be my... So I wouldn't just do it. Okay?
Yes, so you don't think that God has the authority to decide what's right or wrong?
I think God and reality are self-consistent, and everything I hear from the God camp generally says that you should be empathic and, kind and aware of human rights.
Okay.
So that's the point.
But he does things.
Babies,
But,
that's the opposite.
okay, but he does things because they're right, not whatever he decides is right suddenly becomes right just because he's decided
God
it.
is most perfectly morally on point.
Okay, because there's this pre-existing necessary sense of morality that is so necessary that even God can't change it.
God embodies that morality. They're
Okay.
not distinct, they're actually the same.
Okay, interesting.
They're synonymous. What God is good. It's not that God supersedes good or good supersedes God, that they are the same thing.
Okay, but if God is all powerful, then couldn't he decide to do... His nature can't be kind of bound to this idea of goodness, right?
Well,
I believe it is. Which is why he's not all powerful.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because this idea of all powerful seems to be misrepresented. All powerful doesn't mean that God can make something that is logically impossible to be possible. Right?
Can he make it? Can he make it morally good to torture babies to death?
If it isn't,
If what?
if it isn't,
I'm not going to say I personally agree with
So you'd agree that it's not logical to torture babies to death?
well, not outside of what God says. God says that that is
we can't see
But that's just because God would not say that, given that He's already said.
But surely the reason why he would not say it is because it is necessarily true that torturing babies to death is wrong, and so God does right, not things are right because God says so.
Well, given that God is all logical and all truthful, right? When He says something, He knows what is true, and He says that which is true. Therefore, what He says becomes the truth. So if He says you should not torture babies, then that becomes objective.
So he could say it's now good to torture babies, and then it would become objectively true. Why not?
Because He's already said that it's not.
But he can change his God can change his mind though, can't he? He abrogates, doesn't he? In the Quran, he abrogates. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry about that. So, what do you believe?
I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Sorry, I'll get back to this.
But I think they were trying to tap into something positive. But
You can talk to me behind the camera here if you want.
Absolutely.
And so we need to sift out the misinterpretation.
Which I also
That's an argument
go
used
back
by
to
Muslims
my
very often.
previous decision. I will say that I think a healthy sense of rationality is important when we are approaching these texts.
Because the science
I think so. We're kind of concurring. So we're both inclusive of multiple religions, and we're aiming for a synthesis of using our own intellectual, the moral compass. Then can I take his points? Not that I mean you may think about it. I think where you were heading was how can God be inherently moral and simultaneously allow everything bad to happen, given He's omnipotent?
I wasn't planning to go that route, but you can go there now.
I thought you did. I thought you were heading there. You were going, if He's all powerful, how can bad things happen?
No, but you can go there if you want.
I thought you brought in that He was.
I'm agnostic. I was originally planning to play your kind of character because we were absent of a. Yeah, I was originally trying to play a kind of Salafi Muslim, but then I kind of lost track. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
The idea that God is all powerful in a supernatural sense seems to maybe not hold as much water as we'd like it to. I think maybe that was never the point of God, was that you could control everything supernaturally. That was ever the issue.
We have freedom in some areas, and we have no freedom in some areas in our life, in our existence. So you are free to speak with me now, I believe so, but you are not free to determine what time of
It's all about possibilities.
You don't know about it.
It's all about
possibilities. But you can determine to speak with me or leave me. So you have freedom at some points, some areas, and you're not free in some other areas.
I don't think it's the best example of freedom, but yeah, I agree. I would just go straight to the
this is amazing.
The tsunami that killed 250,000 people.
Yeah.
You've either got to conclude that God let that happen, he's all powerful, in which case he punished people of all denominations. There would have been fantastic people and terrible people killed in that. Or you've got to think that God somehow herded all bad people to the beaches and then sent the tsunami, which would be crazy. And I think the conclusion to draw is God just doesn't control everything. Random stuff is going to keep happening to us, and that's the human condition.
But that's assuming that God will only do things that we perceive as good, right? That God would not kill a bunch of people, good and bad.
Now it gets interesting. Now I see two branches of God.
Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do. I think that the all-powerful God does do things that, in our perspective, may seem.
The thing is, I want to
It doesn't mean I should give carte blanche to.
Well, for this as well, regarding the very point you mentioned, now you're saying evil happening.
Now, bad things happen to good people.
Okay, bad things happen to good people. So there are people that's good, and there are things that's bad. Yeah. Now, if everything is going without a fashioner and a maker, and it's all happen by nature, you must accept it because this is a very natural thing happening. You should have no objection on it happening. Because you believe this is what nature does. You do not believe there is God.
But it's nature doing God's will, right? In my view.
In my view, I'm same as you. But for him, he denies God's existence. And he sees things as natural phenomena. Natural things happening by nature. And for his genuine position, he is consistent. He's going to say, this happened by nature and we accept everything happened by nature. Yeah, he is not going to say, oh, it's a bad thing happening. To his genuine concept, it's not bad. You cannot decide what's bad or good. It's whatever happening in the nature, that's it. It's okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean, as an individual, if I'm freezing to death, that's just nature, but I'm going to try not to freeze to death because it hurts, and it's just not what I want. It's in contradiction to my natural instincts, and I'll oppose it.
You cannot use a godly principle about good and bad to debunk the existence of God. Because you are shooting yourself in the foot. For good and bad, these principles, we take them through believing there is God and there is good actions and there is bad actions to avoid. You cannot use this argument that is the theists follow and accept and adhere to prove that God does not exist, because you do not have a principle to
I'm
accept.
not. What I'm saying is he can't be totally benign and all powerful simultaneously, it seems to me. Yeah? You're right, he might be doing things which are not benign, which are the bigger good that I can't see. But my credibility on that is stretched because they get so much terrible stuff that I've got to go, if God is all powerful, that shouldn't happen.
You have to believe on God first.
But you also, but again, you're also assuming that this all-powerful God will only
Hello, it's
do
going
good
well.
things from our perspective.
Yeah, and you're right.
We might, and I think
Would it be
we're
okay
wrong
if I
about
give it
that.
back
I
to
think
you?
that from our perspective, God does a lot of terrible things. He causes tsunamis, and he causes
Live stream. Did you capture that? Did you capture the discussion with Shamsi?
Yeah, but the internet weren't working good, so I keep on cutting in and out, man. I got most of it though.
I'm hanging here.
I think that the idea
Yes, Dan.
What's up, bro? Cool.
Moody made mess of it.
Yeah. He's over there now. Calm down.
No more Moody.
No more. Let me go over here. Let me let the people get a preview of what's gonna drop.
what? Brothers. Don't do that. You asked me a question, let me ask you a question. What you said you want everyone to become Islam.
Even if
no,
what you were
I want
saying
everyone
is
to become Muslim. Their own choice and their freedom.
And it is a right.
Because as a Muslim, I want good for you. Maybe you think that's good for you. So I want you to explain to Islam in a correct way, with respect. It's up to you at the end. You will accept it or reject it. I don't have to force you. There's no problem with that. Likewise, a Christian will come to me. A Christian, if he speaks to me nicely, I have no problem with that. But I have a free will to accept and reject. And that's what Allah said in the Quran. The best way to call people to Islam is speak to them nicely and softly. As for the war, that's a different subject. Britain, America, go to war, they don't go with the plastic fork. They go with the weapons. Because it's a war.
Can I ask you a question, Nick?
No. Let him be first victim, then he'll be second. Step by step. I'm here to deal with you. No, we're not
days.
No, we're not on days. No. Forget days.
When